Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. On today's show, Dwayne Taves visits with Dr. Justin Smith, the Animal Health Commissioner of Kansas. Then enjoy this week's Kansas soybean update. Next, Dwayne Taves and Dr. Jim Nelson with K-State are talking swine production. Then learn about the challenges and opportunities with price discovery in cattle. And we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Dwayne. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Find out more at kansasgrainsorghum.org.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first, Dwayne Taves visits with Dr. Justin Smith about the importance of identifying animals coming in and going out of the state.
Dwayne Taves joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas. An opportunity to catch up with Dr. Justin Smith, Animal Health Commissioner. And Dr. Smith, we think about your department and working in Kansas in terms of animal health. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that most people really don't realize that has a lot of credence to why we need to do a better job of identifying animals.
That is correct, Dwayne. Honestly, the movement of animals that we have, we know that Kansas is primarily an in-shipment state, so we have a tremendous amount of animals that come into our state on a daily basis. And so what that means to me is that we've got a greater risk. And so with that idea, we need to understand where our animals are at, where they're going, and where they might be in the case that we do have an animal disease.
We think about some of those things that do come up, some endemic, some we import from outside of the state at times, and being able to track those animals is extremely important. I don't think most people understand what a trace out actually costs. If they knew how many dollars and cents and man hours it took to do a trace out on something, they might be more inclined to be helpful in terms of some premise IDs and animal ID.
That is correct. We, just a case in point, is we had a TB trace, a TB incident that was happening up in a state north of us, and it's caused a tremendous amount of traces for us here in the state of Kansas. Fortunately, a lot of those did have IDs, and we were able to trace those folks out. But if we had enough, there was numerous heads that was going to have to be followed through and tested upon. And so that premise ID capability and that traceability is vital to us being able to respond in a timely and an efficient manner.
And you referenced timely and efficient, depending on the severity and the virulent nature of a disease. Timeliness is extremely important.
Very much so, and I referenced the TB case. That's a slow disease. We get into some of our more prevalent diseases, the PEDVs in our swine industry, the foot and mouth disease that we may income someday in our livestock industry. We're behind the boat by already from the beginning. So.
There's a lot of people and folks within the industry that are looking at different options and how we do that. It always typically comes back from a producer's side of, can we do it at the speed of commerce?
Very much so, and that is the buzzword now. We have to do it at speed of commerce, and we know we have. And do we have that answer yet? No, I don't think we do. I think we're working there. We're light years ahead of where we were before, but we've got some work to do yet. And we know that is, and we're cognizant of that. We're cognizant of the fact that we have to be able to do it at the way that our industry is operating today.
And in reality, it kind of needs to be a national effort. We can't really operate with a bunch of hodgepodge state rules.
That is very true, and that's been evident in some of our other regulations, whether it be specific disease regulations like trichomoniasis or whether it's traceability in that respect. We have to have a common front, but at the same time, we can't put ourselves out there on an island and not have other states come along with us.
Speaking of being on an island, oftentimes these things happen in very rural areas across the state of Kansas, and our ability to have a good relationship with the local veterinarian is probably key in addressing most of these issues right there at the ground floor.
That is very true, and we don't make a big enough deal about that because it is obviously our local veterinarians that we rely on a daily basis to do this and to have the ability to support us in what we have to do. And so, and that's becoming another problem that we haven't even dealt in, and that is the ability to have the veterinary support we need in our rural communities.
That'll do it this time around on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean Update.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, Sure Crop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. Sure Crop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose Sure Crop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Doug Bounds, Kansas State Statistician for USDA's National Ag Statistics Service, is joining us. And Doug, several reports have come out here just recently, and that includes the latest as far as crop progress and fall harvest is concerned for Kansas soybeans. What have we seen recently on how far we've progressed harvest-wise?
The Kansas Crop Progress and Condition Report for the week ending October 15 showed that the soybean condition rated 5% very poor, 14% poor, 37% fair, 39% good, and 5% excellent. Also showed that soybeans dropping leaves was 93%. That's ahead of 86% last year and 87% for the 5-year average. Soybean harvest was 34% complete, and that's ahead of 25% this time last year and near the 5-year average of 36%.
And as we're about a third of the way through the harvest, one thing to look at is potentially we could be harvesting a record soybean crop here in the state of Kansas, according to the latest crop production numbers.
That is correct. Kansas Crop Production Report that was released on October 12th showed soybean production based on October 1st conditions. We forecasted a record 209 million bushels, up 9% from last year's production. Kansas farmers expect to harvest 5.1 million acres of soybeans this year, and that's 27% higher than last year. The yield that's forecasted for 2017 in Kansas is 41 bushels per acre, and that's just down 7 bushels from last year's yield.
And late in September, we also had an additional report came out. How are we looking as far as our grain stocks are concerned?
September 29th, NASA released the Kansas Grain Stocks Report showing grain stocks as of September 1st. And on that date, we had 11.1 million bushels of old crop soybeans still stored in all positions in Kansas. That's 108% higher than it was a year ago. Of that total, 1.6 million bushels were stored on farm. That's up 116% from a year ago. And 9.52 million bushels were stored off farm, which was up 107% from 2016.
All right, Doug, we appreciate you updating us on those numbers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
That is Doug Bounds, Kansas State Statistician for USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service, as he joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more with Dwayne and Dr. Jim Nelson talking swine production in Kansas.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel, made from U.S. soybean oil.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel, made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide, presented by Lucas Oil, featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV, the all-new Better Horses Network.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now Dwayne and Dr. Jim Nelson discuss swine production across the state.
Dwayne Taves joining you once again on Ag AM in Kansas, and a chance to catch up with Dr. Jim Nelson at Kansas State University in the swine department. Jim, we think about swine production in Kansas, a vibrant industry that continues to grow in areas, others maybe not so much, but there's a lot of good things that are going on.
There is a lot of good things. We are pretty much Harvard in the Midwest here in terms of the Corn Belt, and we can set on the outside, as you mentioned, in some very biosecure areas in the western part of our state. Our industry continues to grow and prosper, and a lot of that's due to the technology and profitability that's returned to our industries the last couple years.
It is an industry that has changed in the dynamics of it over time, and we still see some changes. Obviously, there's room for individuality in each operation. Guys just got to figure out what makes it work on their place.
Yes, in the meetings this morning here at the Ag Summit, we talked to everything from niche marketing, which gives all producers a chance to market their pork, all the way up to some of the new packing plants that are being built throughout the nation and close to Kansas here, and the opportunities to grow our industry, as you mentioned, Dwayne. Lots of opportunities to increase swine production in the Midwest, and specifically in Kansas.
We think about why some of those things, apparent riddleless supply of feed grains, a big part of that.
Yeah, we see grain sorghum. Of course, we've did a lot of the original research. Grain sorghum coming back in the equation for a lot of production systems where we used to just be corn-based. Now we feed a lot of grain sorghum. In the last couple of years, and unfortunately for some of our wheat farmer friends, we fed a lot of wheat to pigs. So there's always opportunities to use alternative grains as well as our staples that we have here in Kansas to grow our industry.
Talking about the consumer side, consumer acceptance, we've done a tremendous job at working to get that in a package that meets their needs.
Yeah, we've really learned the last few years, and I sat on the executive board of the Kansas Pork Association. They've done a great job explaining to our clientele and to our producers that people want to know where their food is raised, and it doesn't matter whether you're talking beef or wheat, and they want to know how it's raised. And so what we're really doing is getting the producers, those people that raise a wholesome product, and also then one that is extremely safe, on camera, on Facebook, online, and that way people can see who's raising their food, and that's why the demand for pork has grown so rapidly.
The other option as well that kind of dovetails with that, pork product, pretty versatile, I guess is a good way to put it. We see some of the national companies with the prepackaged stuff that's marinated, and it's just it's pretty hard for the average consumer not to get that done right.
You know, it's amazing. I gave talks in the 80s, and I said that, bacon would not be the staple of our industry. But if you look at the most profitable cut in a pig today, it is the belly or where the bacon comes from. And I also teach at the university. And on a lighter note, Dwayne, I always tell the students when they're taking a quiz, I don't care if it's on wheat or beef or what it's on. If you don't know the answer, just write down bacon, and every professor will give you partial credit because it's such a good product. Now, you talked about the marinated products. They're going like wildfire across the nation. The pork shoulders, a cut that we used to not think would be as high value, is extremely well accepted now in pulled pork. And then we haven't even talked about the tremendous increase in export of pork. We export about 26 to 27% of the pork raised in the U.S., and so we're just on a roll in terms of demand for our product.
All right, thanks to Jim Nelson at Kansas State University in the swine department on campus, joining us with an update on the swine industry here in the heartland. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Come back after the break for this week's Angus Report.
This is Eric Stonestreet, and as many of you know, I love my home state of Kansas. In March, Kansas ranchers lost homes, equipment, and thousands of cattle from the largest wildfires in the state's history. Imagine losing all you have in a fire. Not just your house, but your livelihood. Ranchers are beginning to rebuild, but it will take years and tens of millions of dollars to build back herds, fences, and other infrastructure. Today, I'm asking you to help. Donate what you can and show your support to the ranchers of Kansas. Simply go to kansasfires.com. Your donation is tax deductible and will go to those who need it the most.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and this week's Angus Report.
The cattle business has changed a lot the past few decades.
Well, you know, our whole world has evolved, and we've been really focused on the consumer. We've been focused on building demand with the consumer, and the consumer asking for something, and then we deliver it. We changed the way we feed. We changed the genetics that we're buying. Our whole process is everything we do.
As a result, marketing methods have evolved too, but the way a base price is set hasn't kept up.
And with value-based marketing comes more formula cattle, more contracting. It's not a bad thing. We're all getting paid premiums for what we do. But the real question is if we get to higher and higher percentages of those cattle, and we get down to 15% of the cattle are on the cash market, what do we base the cattle off of? What's the base price for the futures market? What's the base price for our value-based markets?
USDA established mandatory price reporting to provide more market transparency, but the report often finds itself establishing a cash basis. The low volume of cash transactions can be problematic.
So somebody trades some cattle and they're kind of heavy, or they're dirty, or they're a bunch of heiferettes, or they trade some cattle that are really good. We don't know what that price represents because we don't know what those cattle were. We can't see them. We weren't there when they traded them. We don't know what kind of distance they're going to be traveling. Was freight paid? Was it not paid? Things like that. And so mandatory price reporting was meant to be a little bit of an indicator of what was going on. But now we're pricing cattle off of it. And we're pricing a lot of cattle off of it. And so we've got to start to make sure that we understand what that price means.
Ed Greiman says producing more commodity cattle is not the solution, and quality cattle need to be sold for a premium. Signals going from the retailer back through the chain show how working together improves the product.
He's saying this is what I want. He's telling the feedlot what we want. Then the feedlot's going to then tell the cow-calf man. The cow-calf man's going to go to the seed stock producer, and we're pulling through. Well, if you're going to build a program like that, it's kind of hard to put them on the open cash market.
Grid marketing has done its job. The market rewards quality.
There's no doubt in my mind that the reason that this has worked is because the consumer has been drawn to the product. They've gotten really good eating experiences time and time again. So that's why it's not going to go away.
I'm Bob Cervera.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Daryl was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotator cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it and it worked. I'm not going to go out and take trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities, and it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Dwayne are up to on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with Dwayne Taves.
Kyle Bauer, your fact or fiction question of the day. The elephant is the only mammal that can't jump. Fact or fiction?
The only one?
The only mammal that can't jump.
Well, I don't doubt it that an elephant can't jump. But
what is
a jump? Is that when all the legs are off the ground?
All 4 feet off the ground.
4 feet. Well, I'm sure an elephant can't
Unless
jump.
you don't have 4 feet.
Okay, then you can. If you're a mammal, like a kangaroo's a mammal, but you said mammal, right?
Mammal.
I'll go true.
That is what it says. The only mammal that can't jump. Is a whale a mammal?
Yeah, I think it is.
I guess they jump out of the water every now and then, don't they?
What's jumping? Didn't say
again.
Yeah, so it's not all 4 feet off the ground.
The only mammal that can't hop on 1 foot. That wouldn't have been true.
No, elephant can hop on 1 foot.
No, they can't. But there's others that don't have any feet at all.
There you go. I won. So, put me down as a
we'll
W.
Put that in the W column.
Roughly half of America's GDP comes from 22 the largest metro areas. Okay,
22 of the largest metro areas.
Is half of all the production, gross domestic product that measures all the economic activity.
All right.
22 of them in the nation count for half of all the nation's economic activity, and that's okay. But what's interesting is the cities and what countries they match up with.
Oh,
so for instance, Houston.
Right.
Has the same GDP.
Big town.
Yeah, but has the same GDP of the entire country of Poland.
Oh my.
Yeah. How about L.A.?
All right.
Has the same GDP of all of Mexico.
No.
Yeah.
All of Mexico.
All of Mexico. L.A. alone.
At least the GDP that's recorded.
Right. Yeah, the non-taxable.
There might be some non-taxable entities in Mexico that.
Minneapolis, the same as Bangladesh.
Okay.
Denver, same as Peru.
Wow.
That's kind of interesting, I think. Yeah. I mean, because we just consider these cities, and the rest of the world says, yeah, you got a seat at the UN. You're a big deal. And it's like, really?
No, we are the deal.
We've got cities that do more than you people do. Yeah. So
it's like Denver. Denver wants a seat at the EU.
Yeah, because, they're higher up than Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Dallas, Taiwan.
Really?
Seattle, the entire country of Egypt. Portland, the entire country of Iraq. So let me see. We have Boston, has more economic activity than Nigeria. Now, this one's a tough one, though. New York City, same GDP as the country of Canada.
Wow. That'll leave the Canadians wondering where all the money went.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.